Pat's Nation, what's going on with you? Hope everybody's doing fine day. And this we got a special guest episode today, man. So coming to you quick on a Tuesday, got a special guest. We got NBC Sports Patriots reporter Phil Perry going to join me in just a second. Before we get started, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you are sharing the content and make sure you are subscribed to the Ken's Pats Talk Patriots podcast, man. Let me go ahead and let Phil in here. Phil, what's going on with you, buddy?
Kendall, how you doing, bud? I'm happy to
Pretty,
be here with you, man. What a season the Patriots are having. It'll be fun to talk about them a little bit here with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, first, I want to thank Tom for getting me connected with you. I met y'all at the Super Bowl at Radio Row, man. Great time. Had a great experience. I met Albert Breer as well. Zolog, 98.5. I met a lot of people there, man. So we about to talk about the Patriots, but once again, it was good to meet y'all. And shout out to Tom Kern for linking me up with you, man. I really appreciate it.
He's the best. He's the best.
Yes.
He's the reason I've got a job, Kendall. So
Yeah.
I owe all the thanks to Tom Curran, and I'm happy he connected us here.
Right. I see y'all just dropped the episode too. So after the show, make sure I check that out too on Tom Curran's Patriots podcast. Let's go ahead and jump into it, Phil. What's your thoughts so far on the Patriots season so far? So a little bit. I'm surprised, but what's your thoughts so far on the Pat season?
You and me both. We're I guess in the same boat there. I thought they might win 9 games, Kendall, and I'm going to be, I think, way low. Like we're looking at a team that's already got 11. And I think it honestly would be a little, I hesitate to use the word disappointing, but I think Patriots fans would look at a 2-2 finish these last 4 weeks and say kind of like, they should have been able to beat those teams that they lost to, because I don't look at a single team left on this schedule and say they can't beat those guys. So this is going to be a 13, maybe 14, maybe 15 win team. It's insane what we're talking about. And to me, you point to 2 people in particular. There are a lot of people who have exceeded expectations in terms of their performance, but I start with Drake May. You have to start there. He has been dynamite in just about every situation, against just about every coverage. Kendall, it's really remarkable how much he's grown, because we knew he had the physical skill set, but how he's thinking his way through the position right now. And you have to look at Mike Vrabel too for really getting these guys together, allowing them to come together as a team, for I think pushing the right buttons in terms of how he wants to inspire these guys on a week to week basis. So I look at these 2 guys, and one who's playing like an MVP, the other who's coaching like a coach of the year. And those are the 2 primary reasons why they are where they are right now.
You just real good. You just mentioned Drake May. You're too late. You actually just carried it. Great segue to my next point. I don't think Josh McDaniels gets enough credit for how good he's been with Drake May. The offensive line, we saw they've been without Will Campbell the last couple of weeks and whatnot, including this week about the Bills. We'll get to the Bills game shortly, but Josh McDaniels, I think he's meant a whole lot to Drake May and his year 2 lead. I just watched your last podcast where you said that you don't know if it's a coverage that Drake May hasn't seen, or if he just, it might not be the blueprint to stop him. What do you think teams might start doing in the coming weeks? Well, because this is going to be the second time that McDermott and the Bills are going to see him. He's going to see the Jets again and the Dolphins. But, the division opponents can be tricky. So I think with McDermott getting to see him, he already seen him twice because he saw him last year during his rookie season. Then he's going to see him. He saw him on Sunday Night Football. So what do you think the Bills or just any other team they're going to start doing with Drake May?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm glad you asked that question about, is there a blueprint for him? And I don't know. I don't know if there is, honestly, because teams have thrown a number of different things at him, and he's been very good across the board. That doesn't mean that there won't be a blueprint. It doesn't mean that he's indefensible. I'm listening to Felger and Maz today, and boy, they took that take and they just ran wild with it, basically implying that I'm saying there is no way to defend Drake May. I'm just saying I don't know what it is yet, because he's handled just about everything that's been thrown his way. If there was a blueprint, I actually have a guess as to what it might be, and it's very numbers based, it's very stats based, and so take them with a grain of salt. We know what Bill Belichick used to say about stats. They're for losers. But, Kendall, when he's seen cover 1, so man-to-man coverage with a single high safety deep, he has been, on the one hand, as efficient as he's been against some of these other coverages. When you look at yards per attempt, he's 9.9, which is 3rd in the NFL. His quarterback rating against cover 1 is excellent, 126.7. However, when he sees cover 1, he tends to get pressured a lot. since week 6. So this is basically the last 2 months of the season against cover 1, and these numbers are according to Sports Info Solutions. They do a great job, I think. So I rely on them a bunch over the course of the season. He's tied for the most pressures against cover 1 the last 2 months of the season. He's second in sacks. He's had 11 sacks against cover 1 the last 2 months of the season. He's third in sack rate behind only Cam Ward and Justin Fields. So that's not necessarily
Hmm.
company you want to keep. And he's 17th out of 33 quarterbacks in EPA when facing cover 1. Again, this is the last 2 months. So is there a blueprint that's maybe developing? Some of his numbers are great, but it does look like maybe he has to hold on to the ball a little bit longer while his receivers uncover in tight man-to-man coverage. Maybe he's seeing a little bit more pressure. He is seeing a little bit more pressure
Yeah.
when faced with cover 1, and that's leading to some sacks and some negative plays. So that to me might be what Dermott and others try to do to him late in the season.
And the Bills, their man coverage mainly, right?
They like to use man coverage, and it's interesting. Sean McDermott was a big zone guy,
Yeah.
coming from Carolina, and so they have the ability to do a lot of different things. They're not as varied with their looks as they used to be. They used to have those two great safeties in Hyde and Poyer, and it allowed them to be very diverse in terms of their coverages. Now it's a little bit more straightforward, but again, if you're McDermott, like even if he's going to hit you again, he's got a great quarterback. He's third in
Yeah.
the league in quarterback rating against cover
Right.
1. So it's not like he can't have success against it. But if they see it, if Buffalo and others see this as sort of a boom or bust kind of coverage, like, hey, he might get his against us if we throw man to man
Yeah.
at him, but we might also get to him, and maybe we can get a game changing strip sack, or maybe we can get a hit on him that turns into a pick that changes the outcome. Like,
Yep.
that might be a gamble that they're willing to make.
How impressive has the rookie class been? I was a big Kyle Williams fan. He's starting to come on last couple of weeks. Will Campbell's out now, but I think he's been a stud there at left tackle. You ain't really heard his name. And I like to tell people, anytime you're not hearing a lineman's name, they're doing something good. So I like what I'm seeing from Jarrett Wilson. He's starting to come on. Trayvon Henderson been coming on. How impressive has this rookie class been so far?
They've been good, I think, Kendall. You look at Will Campbell, and he's given you everything you could have asked for at left tackle. And I know he's banged up right now, and we'll see what he looks like when he comes back. But to get a guy who looks like he's at least a league average tackle already as a rookie, to me that's a hit with the 4th overall pick. It's a really difficult position to man. There's just not
Yeah.
many guys there who can play it. So to me that's a great pick, and it's a pick that you needed to have. Jared Wilson, I think, is fine, and I think he will get better. I think they'll figure out maybe ways to leverage his athleticism a little bit more the longer he's in the league. Kyle Williams, it's been in fits and starts,
Mm-hmm.
but I think he's shown he has real speed. And so whether it's
Yep.
catch and run opportunities or winning down the sideline the way he did against the Giants, like he could have a role. It's just looking like a pretty deep receiver room
Yeah.
right now. And so, they're healthy now too. So maybe he's not going to get a ton of reps, but Craig Woodson's been like an every down player, Kendall. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
like they're getting a lot of contributions, and it says a lot just how many snaps they've gotten out of this rookie class. The only other team I believe that has more rookie snaps on the field this year is the New Orleans Saints. And we know
Right.
they're one of the worst teams in football. So for the Patriots to be one of the best with this young of a
Yep.
roster, that to me tells me all you need to know about this draft class.
How impressed have you been with the wide receiver core? I know you probably want the highest on Diggs when he first got here, but I think he's been coming on. How ironic, he had a great game against Buffalo. Maybe he might do it again this week. He's had a couple. I think he's probably on pace for 1,000 yards. Mac Hollins been surprised. I think the most surprise has been Kayshon Boutte. I never thought he'd be a 1. I mean, he could have been a first round pick. I think he's like a mid 2 right now, but you just don't
Yeah.
kind of know. He was inconsistent last year. I think this year him and Drake May got that chemistry. I love Pop Does. I wish they had used him a little more. But how impressed and surprised have you been with the wide receiver core this year?
Yeah, I've been very surprised
Yeah.
by, not only Booty, but Diggs too. I just
Mm-hmm.
figured, hey, 32 years old coming off an ACL. The history for those types of injuries at that position is that it's a really hard injury to come back from. And so, especially in the first year back, especially when you're 30 plus, the results just haven't been there for a
Right.
lot of players in the past. Now, look, Stephon Diggs has exceeded expectations in the past. Remember, this guy was a 5th-round pick
Yeah.
when he came into the league. So, he has had his doubters in the past, and he's made him look bad. He's making me look bad in terms of what I thought he would be able to produce before the season began. And he is. He's on pace for just a tick under, I think, 1,000 yards now. He's had a few games here the last 5 weeks sort of sandwiched around a great game against the Jets where he went for 100 plus,
Yeah,
where he's been, I think, like right around 50 yards or maybe even a little bit less than that. So, um, what's great about this room, to get to your question about the receivers in general, is that they don't necessarily need Diggs
yeah,
to go off on a week to week basis. Every once in a while, he will, and that's great for them. But if he doesn't, it doesn't kill them either, right? You're not relying on one guy to carry the load in that way. And so, whether it's Booty, who to me, you need a receiver like that with a
yeah,
quarterback who can throw the deep ball the way Drake May can, or Matt Collins, who has come up with some big games in the past. Kyle Williams again, every once in a while. Pop Douglas.
yeah.
I think they've really kind of unlocked him. And again, with a great down the field passing quarterback, he could be a deep threat, Kendall. You don't need to be 6'4" and
Hmm.
220 pounds to win down the field. Like, he has real speed and he can track the football. So he doesn't need to be Wes Welker or Julian Edelman or Danny Amendola, even though he's a smaller guy. So they figured out ways to use him. I just think the room really complements each other well this year, and they complement the quarterback well too because of what he's able to do.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I'm a big Pop Douglas fan. I would love to see McDaniels untap his potential a little more coming out that bye week, and we about to get into it now. They coming from the bye. I didn't think they're gonna win that Giants game. That game just sat there. It looked like a game that might come out flat. They're head to the bye, but I was shocked how they came out. I mean, I was very shocked and surprised. What are you looking to see from the team coming from the bye? Like, I want to see them get the run game going, but what are you looking to see from the team coming from the bye week?
I'm with you, and so let's go with that. They need to, I think, get the run game going because
Mm-hmm.
as good as Drake May's been, and maybe he'll just continue to exceed our expectations, Kendall, and he'll be the star that he's been through the postseason. He'll take him to a Super Bowl with basically no run game because he
Right.
really hasn't had one. Like, they're 29th in the league in success rate when they run the football this year. It's just not good enough. Especially the weather's going to get worse. We know what kind of conditions they're going to face here in Foxborough. They're probably going to have at least one home playoff game, and we'll see how many more than that. So to get it going is the question. How do you do it? What do you have to do? And again, during the bye week, I'm trying to dig into as many numbers as I can and make as many phone calls as I can. And
Yeah.
I think people are wondering, because the Patriots with Josh McDaniels, they love this downhill style of rushing attack. That's really always sort of been Josh McDaniels' thing. And he's willing to mix it up. And we saw earlier in the season they did a little bit more zone running. They haven't had much success with the downhill stuff of late, and they're among the league leaders in using it, like, right? So these gap style runs, whether it's double teams at the line of scrimmage or pulling guards, counter, power, wham plays with the tight end coming across and blocking a defensive lineman, they run that stuff as much or more than anybody, and they're near the bottom of the league in terms of how efficient they are with that stuff. So do they need to get away from it, Kendall, and do a little bit more zone running?
Yeah.
Right? Let somebody like Travion Henderson get into space a little bit more on these wide zone runs and get up the field. Some of the numbers are interesting. They're averaging over 4 yards per carry, which is better than the gap runs when they run outside zone. When they use motion too, so they get a little bit deceptive with the run game. When they use motion, they're averaging 4.5 yards per carry. You would take that if you're the Patriots
Yeah.
right now, given how ineffective the run game has been. So there might be a couple tweaks that McDaniels is able to make to that rushing attack to make the overall offense a little bit better. Because I think that would even have a domino effect, Kendall, on the red zone offense. That's been
Yeah.
something that they've struggled with too. If you can just fix the run game a little bit, make it a little bit better, I think suddenly your red zone offense becomes more effective as well.
Moving on to the Bills game on Sunday, how do you think the defense? How do you think of Vrabel and this defense with Zach Curry? How do you think they're going to try to defend Josh Allen, similar to how they did on Sunday Night Football? But the Bills have kind of changed their offense since they're more of a run dominant team now, trying to get the tight ends involved. It's kind of like how the old Patriots used to do after they got rid of Randy Moss. They kind of changed to two tight ends, run the football. So how do you think Vrabel and this defense going to try to prepare for Josh Allen this week, this Sunday?
Well, first of all, I want to see who's available to him. I think
Yeah,
it changes a lot if Kyrus Tonga, who's been one of the biggest
yeah.
surprises, talk
Mm-hmm.
about surprises, one of the biggest surprises
And
on this
Chason
roster.
didn't play in the first meeting on Sunday Night Football.
That's right. And so, that should help. And you're coming off the bye. I thought their run defense, Kendall, I thought they just looked tired
Yeah,
defending the run before the bye. So now maybe you've got a little bit more juice. Maybe you get Tonga back. You're still going to be missing Milton Williams, who I thought played well in that
yeah,
first game against Buffalo. But in terms of stopping the run, I think just a little rest and maybe one player back from injury like Tonga could make a big difference. It could make them a lot more effective there. And then as far as defending Allen goes, one thing that I've liked about these edges, and they play Harold Landry and Kayvon Chase on a lot. Those guys have seen a
Yeah.
ton of reps this year, and Landry's missed some practice time this year. He actually wasn't on the field on Monday, their first practice from the bye. They just want to manage that guy and make sure he can finish things out this year. But what they do really well, I think, is not running past the quarterback. So that's going to be a focus this week too. Is make sure your rush lane integrity is
Yep.
there, right? If you start to run by Josh Allen because you're so aggressive and you want to make that play in the quarterback, he's going to step right up, run right
Yep.
through that B gap, and you're going to be off to the races trying to catch one of the most dangerous open field runners in football. So to me, that those are the keys. Stop the run, keep Josh Allen in the pocket, and make him find his receivers down the field. They really don't have much talent in
Yep.
that receiving core, Kendall. So if you can force him to rely on them and not rely on himself, that to me, would be a winning formula.
Appreciate that, Phil. Come on, Chris, before we let you go. This here's a two-part question. What would it mean for if the Patriots win this Sunday, and how big of a game is this for the Patriots? I've seen a lot of people say, well, it's more important for the Bills. They're motivated. They're coming in, and the Patriots, they can lose this game and still just still be number one division, but then it puts pressure on them, to win against Baltimore and Miami, the Jets. Me personally, I don't know if you agree or not. I think it's more important for the Patriots. I mean, you've heard the week schedule talk all year. You can sweep Josh Allen the Bills. Now you might end up seeing them in the playoffs again, and we get to that when that time get here. It's tough to beat a team 3 straight times, but I think it's more important for the Patriots. This is a statement game. I think I like the one on Sunday Night Football was a bigger game, but this one right here, you go ahead and sweep them, and you probably, the Bills still be in the playoffs. You probably end up seeing them again, but I think you can really kill the noise of they had a weak schedule or the first game was a fluke. I think it's bigger for the Patriots this Sunday.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Kendall. I think there's a bigger game for the Patriots because even like you said, even if the Bills lose, they're not done, right? If you're the Patriots and you win this game, you're the champs of the AFC East. This is something that
Yeah.
hasn't happened since
Yep.
Tom Brady was here. So like they're attacking it with a championship kind of mindset. And Vrabel's been very open about that. He's talking to the team, he's using the word champions. Hey, you competed like champions against the Giants. The next day he's talking to us in the media and he's saying, hey, champions, they're never satisfied. And
Right.
so they didn't want to be satisfied going into the bye week. So like this is something that they're putting a lot of stock in. They're putting a lot of weight on this game. And I think it would just be a nice signal, even though we know, right? I think we got a pretty good idea. They got the quarterback that they want for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
They've got the head coach that they want for the foreseeable future. They don't need to
Mm-hmm.
win this game in order to rubber stamp that. But winning this game, winning the division, it is an official declaration that the Patriots are back, right? Which
Yeah.
I know fans feel already, but boy, if you can win the division, that's one of Mike Vrabel's stated goals going into every season. They want to win
Yep.
divisions, they want to host playoff games, and they want to compete for championships. That makes this a huge, huge game for them. I think it is their biggest game since Tom
Yeah.
Brady was here.
I think it's going to be crazy. I'm in North Carolina, so I haven't got to a Patriots. I'm going to the Ravens game next week in Baltimore. I'm going for Sunday Night Football, so I'll be out there.
Love it.
But I think this right here is going to be a big game. It's going to be huge, man. It does feel a little bit like 2021 we had Mac Jones, but Drake May is, Mac Jones, those are two different guys. I think the energy for this one, because remember, I think they played the Bills like twice in like a 3 or 4 week span that time. Now you're getting the Bills later on in the year. I think this right is probably the biggest game in a while.
I agree. And it is it's different than 2021, even though plenty of people were optimistic about what that team might be able to
Yeah.
do. We're talking about an MVP caliber quarterback who's, still in his second year and in his first year in Josh McDaniel's system. And even though Mac Jones, he showed flashes that year in
Yeah.
2021, he was coming off of, let's remember, when they went into the bye, that was coming off of that wind game in Buffalo where Mac Jones, I think, threw 3 passes, Kendall. And
Yeah.
so this was not a quarterback driven team in what we know as a quarterback driven league. The comparisons there, I think, are just so different that this year feels very different.
Yeah. Phil, real quick before we get you, what team scares you the most in the AFC? That I think the Texans. If they can get a consistent offense, I would not want to see them come up to Gillette. If they get all, but you don't know what you can get from the offense.
I agree with you. The offense is dicey enough that they are not a terrifying team, but I would say their defense is maybe the best unit, offense
Yeah.
or defense, in the conference, Kendall. So I said a couple weeks ago, somebody in a mailbag asked me, which teams that were not division winners were sort of the scariest. And I said, listen, I'll put the Chiefs there just because Mahomes is Mahomes. And, if he's in it, that's always a scary matchup, right? It doesn't look like they're going to be in it much longer. The Texans were my other pick, and it was because of that defense. So that's one team I could see coming here. And if you slow Drake May down because they are so quarterback driven, I just don't know with where their run game is right now. If you can get after Drake May, if you can hit him with that pass rush, that would be a really difficult matchup for New England, I think.
I appreciate it, man. Oh, game prediction for Sunday. What's your gut feeling right now?
So I haven't made my official prediction, but I
Okay.
am going to be picking the Patriots. And so,
Okay.
I think there is the potential for a shootout here, which would be a lot of fun, I think.
I heard it's going to be snow. Is it supposed to snow?
The forecast here, Kendall.
Yeah.
I don't even look at that thing until 24 hours before, because that'll change 17 times between now and then. But that would be a lot of fun if you got some weather and you have two great quarterbacks going at it. I think you could see some points on the board. Remember, those snow games, sometimes you could see big time offensive outputs, because that's really difficult on the defense to get your footing and be able to change direction. Sometimes the offense actually has better days when you see that type of weather. So that would be a lot of fun. But I do have the Patriots winning.
Guys, that's Phil Perry from NBC Sports Boston. Phil, I appreciate that, man. And maybe in the offseason we can get up again.
Definitely, Kendall. Thanks so much for having me, man. Let's talk soon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.